And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. It was the evening of January 23, 2020, when a team at Toronto's Sunnybrook Health Services Center decided to admit a 56-year-old patient. Less than 2 days later, the patient would become patient 0, the first COVID-19 case in Canada. On today's Open Connection, MLA Ellis recalls when he first heard about COVID-19.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thank you for staying with us. The Canadian economy changed dramatically in March 2020 as a result of COVID-19, and the situation has a profound impact on the ability of businesses in Canada to operate. While a majority of businesses in Canada have been impacted by COVID-19 pandemic, it appears that small businesses have been hit particularly hard by this crisis. Let us return to the conversation with MLA Ross.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome back to Open Connection. It's too early to calculate the full economic consequences of COVID-19, or even say what will happen to BC economy in the months ahead before the virus is controlled. Some say the economic impact of this pandemic is as bad as any witnessed in the history of British Columbia. Let us return the conversation as MLA Ross shares how the private sector can help lead the way to economic recovery.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Transparency and accountability need each other and can be mutually reinforcing. Together, they enable citizens to have a say about issues that matter to them and a chance to influence decision-making and hold those making decisions to account. In this final segment of Open Connection, MLA Ellis on transparency and accountability.
Politics that talked about transparency and accountability, especially in election time. It always came out. There was platforms for many, many people that wanted to be chief and counsel. But in public meetings, when I asked them what that meant, I couldn't get a clear answer. So as usual, I went up to find my own answer. I couldn't find an answer that couldn't fit the context of what we were doing. And there is different contexts. There's municipal councils, regional councils, us here as legislators in the province of BC. There's federal governments. There's different contexts on how you carry out transparency and accountability. I've got to go back and tell my constituent, Skeena, who actually re-elected me, and tell them, I have no idea what the government's going to spend $13.4 billion on. I don't have a clue. I'm sorry. I can tell you they talk about agricultural support, affordable housing, but they're not going to prove it. And this would be so simple. Because in the 4 years that I've been here, we've done this every single year at budget time. And to be honest, I know a lot of MLAs in this House haven't paid much attention to it. Because normally it's routine. We know the government has got to keep the lights on while we sit here and debate the full budget. We know it's routine. We know you've got to pay those workers, those healthcare workers. We know you got to pay the teachers. We know you got to keep the ship running. So what's the problem? Why is it not detailed, even in general, in terms of the numbers, in terms of the categories? And just to cite the party line, no matter what party you're in, and just saying, just trust us, you're not doing any service to your constituents who voted you in, who wanted you to represent their interests as taxpayers. What is my true job here as an MLA? Is it to my party? Is it to the legislature? Or is it to the people of BC? In this case here, I'd say that we're failing the people of BC. It might be minor to you, but that's a slippery slope. And I learned this principle as chief counselor. When our very first steps came into the economic development world, the resource world, and millions of dollars were starting to come into my community. And I went to report to all my community members in Terrace, Kitimat, Vancouver, Prince Rupert, and every message I got back was, we trust you. And I pleaded with them, I begged them, I told them in public, please don't trust me. Verify what I'm telling you. Ask me questions, ask me the tough questions. Write to me. This is your money. This is your future.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind to his heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our immensity within. I'm Robert Pictou.